Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass. That's David Holbrook and his wife and friends in a jam session up in Carter County yesterday morning, early this morning it was. And our next topic of discussion will be folk appreciation.
Everyone needs a place to be happy. We've got a happy place.
Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass, and this afternoon we've been talking with Barbara Edwards up around the Carter County area and Ashland, Kentucky, and we asked Barb what she thought about folk appreciation and all the aspects of it.
What I would like to do, for some of the material anyway, is to see good records come out of these people where they profit from it, no kind of rip-off involved, so that people can hear firsthand folk music by real folk, you know, because we usually hear it filtered through and then some urban personality comes out with old material. And I just think it would be interesting for, you know, no, there are record companies putting out true field recordings now, Rounder Records and Tradition and County Records and so forth. And there's a small concern associated with Apple Shop at Whitesburg. They're a filmmaking group, but they
Sure, I've been there.
Yeah, they do, you know, mountain type subjects. Well, they're doing some records now in a small way, but we'll be building, and maybe I will be able to work with them.
Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass this afternoon on the Jim Ferguson Sunday Show.
There's a new kind of dancing. They roll Dixie down, and all the people were singing. They went la 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 la.
Joan Baez and the night they drove old Dixie down. And, well, this afternoon we're having a music special on Bluegrass, talking with Barbara Edwards of Ashland, and talking about the difference between life in the mountains and life in the big city, and particularly the ties that bind.
Yeah, it would be scary if you lived by yourself in a huge city and you had to have the knowledge that if you went out and jumped off a bridge, that unless they happened to come on your body, nobody'd ever miss you, you know. Of course, there are advantages, too. Let's face it, if you live back in a holler somewhere, you're behind the times. I mean, people in Appalachian might be in Appalachia often living in the 19th century, even though we're in the 20th. So you maybe miss the forward thrust of civilization, you know. I mean, it's not all positives.
Well, it all depends on whether the forward thrust of civilization is positive.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
You might be a century to the good.
Yeah.
On any one given
But you
day.
know, if you want to see plays and hear symphony orchestras and give your kid violin lessons and go to art galleries or this type of thing, you're not going to find that in Elliott County, Kentucky. You know, you might find a fine fiddler who has a lot to say about life and a lot of good music to play, but there's a lot of things you wouldn't find. So, you know, it's not for everybody, but I'm sure there is something for everybody to be learned from it. Maybe it's just from, there's such a similarity to the way the people are living that is so much like the forebears of everybody in this country. You know, it's just like the pioneer thing before we had the big industrial booms and all of a sudden we were urban and technological. So I think everybody can get a sense of where they came from, you know, whether they were born in Appalachia or not.
Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass, and the next conversation is going to be about what makes mountain people different from any other people in the world. We're checking out Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass this afternoon on the Jim Ferguson Show, talking with Barb Edwards, preserver of historic mountain music folklore and local Ashland musician, discussing mountain people and our impressions of same, and mine in particular. I get the distinct impression that there was little undecisiveness in mountain people. That if they were your friend, you couldn't want, you know, a better friend.
Yeah.
And if they were your enemy, you couldn't have a worse enemy.
That is true. That is absolutely true. You know, speaking of that area where you were, when I went to UK, and it's been a number of years ago, a girl that I met there and became my roommate in the dorm was from a little place called Pathfork, Kentucky, and it's somewhere between Harlan and Hazard, probably halfway between. And it was one of the little coal communities. People still live there, but the mines are gone, and you still see the ruins of the company store and that sort of thing. But you talk about a spunky little gal. She had gone to the one-room school and lived in a two-room house with a big family, had come to UK with only her one dress and 40 cents in her pocket, you know. But there were a few girls who were from rather well-to-do backgrounds and proud of it. And everybody was getting to know each other in the dorm, you know, which means showing off. And, you know, somebody say, well, I'm so-and-so from such and such, and my daddy is some such and such big executive at such and such, and my aunt has a French telephone, and all that stuff. And little old Pat just sat there, and after a while she said, well, I'm from Pathfork, Kentucky. It's a suburb of Black Star. My daddy used to commute to the mines.
When I walk through that door, baby, would see
That's Bread. Diff 241 on the Jim Ferguson Show this afternoon. Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass, a special featuring Barb Edwards, Ashland, Kentucky preserver of historic bluegrass music folklore. And she talks about her parents, and in particular, her mother.
My mother now came from a mountain background, but she lives in Ashland, you know, right in town. But still has retained an empathy with growing things and with animals. And ever so often there'd be a squirrel in her front yard that will become her friend, and it comes up to eat out of her hand at a certain time every day. Oh, in fact, we had one like that once, and if I forgot to throw out some peanuts, it'd come up to our window where I used to sit in the rocking chair to rock my babies, and it'd come up and look in and just wait to be fed, you know. But and then my mother has a yard where she can grow, you know, a few things, but not big for a big garden. But she has just a real green thumb, and it's from her background. I've seen her where you'll get a vine and plant it and have to stake it with something. I've seen the stake start to grow.
It's 2:42.
They say forever, boy and girl, they're just one.
This afternoon, a feature on Bluegrass Views on Bluegrass with Barbara Edwards. And it's been very interesting. Barb is into many things, mainly in preserving that tremendous bluegrass music in Kentucky, and also into other things. We asked Barb a question as we prepared to leave.
Are there any reclaimed strip-mined mountains that you've seen?
Oh, that's how they get airports down in the mountains. Didn't you know that? Now, that's the truth. They have well, the thing is, we've got a whole lot of millionaires. We've had a coal boom. And, I mean, you'll see little signs that say airport, and it's spelled wrong, but by golly, they own a plane, and it might be right on top of this mountain that they've leveled off. And I have seen in strip miners' propaganda where they say that we make more level land. And I remember reading in the paper this article that I thought, they got to be kidding, but it wasn't on the editorial page. It was straight news, where they were having this big to-do down in Muhlenberg County, and this was before Paradise came out in that song, in Drakesboro, and they had this big, the Paradise coal people and the city people were having this big argument that the city owed them some money for electricity or something, and the mayor accused their coal company of trying to mine the coal right out from under the main street, and they said, "Now, we never said we were going to mine under your main street, and if we did do some stripping in there, why, we'd build a shopping center."
When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky, where my parents were born. There's a backwoods old town that's often remembered, so many times that my memories are warm.